Today we delve into a tragic case from Henderson, Nevada, in March 2017. What started as a secret affair between a high school teacher and her student soon unraveled into a tangled web of deception, hidden truths, and in the end, murder. This is the story of a student whose relationship with a teacher led to a gruesome murder. Aiden Grenfell, a 19-year-old student at Coronado High School in Henderson, Nevada, had a rocky reputation among both his peers and teachers. Having been held back twice due to poor grades and ongoing behavioral problems, Aiden was older than most of his classmates. Aiden had a hard time in school, struggling to focus in class, and his frustration often turned into angry outbursts. He was known for skipping class and sometimes getting into fights. To his teachers, he was seen as a troublemaker, while his classmates regarded him as someone to avoid. Ellen. Aiden's home life was far from easy. His mother, Ellen, worked long shifts as a waitress at Mandalay Bay, but she also led a secret life as an escort, something Aiden never fully grasped. All he knew was that unfamiliar men would visit their home for sex, and his mother never offered any explanations. Beneath his rough exterior, Aiden wasn't all bad. Some of his friends saw him as fiercely loyal and protective, especially when it came to his mother. He dreamed of escaping his troubled life and finding something better, though he rarely shared what that future looked like. In the days before his death in March 2017, Aiden appeared more on edge than usual. He had been arguing with his mother about money and his future. Ellen urged him to stop dealing and focus on graduating high school, but Aiden was already considering dropping out for good. With his grades too low to graduate that year, Aiden saw little reason to keep going. He also kept his personal life under wraps, and only a few knew about his secret relationship with his high school English teacher, Aiden Andrews, who was supposedly tutoring him after school. Aiden saw his relationship with Karen as a way to escape his problems at home, but the situation was much more complicated. Just days before his murder, he confided in a close friend that he planned to tell his mother about Karen. He believed this would be his ticket out of Henderson and away from the life he despised, but tragically, it would only lead to his death. On the night of March 5, 2017, Aiden Grenfell's body was found in the parking lot of the Dollar Tree on Horizon Bridge Parkway, where he worked part-time. It was shortly after 10 p.m., and the store had just closed for the night. Aiden had completed his shift and was on his way to his battered 2004 Honda Civic when the shooting took place. His body was located just a few feet from the driver's side door. It was a fellow employee, Brittany Saunders, who first discovered the horrific scene. She had been closing up the store and noticed Aiden's car still in the parking lot, which was unusual since he typically left quickly after his shift. When she approached to check on him, Brittany found Aiden lying on the pavement, bleeding from multiple gunshot wounds. She quickly called 911, but it was evident that Aiden was already dead. Although described as being in shock, Brittany managed to stay composed enough to provide details to the dispatcher. The parking lot, typically quiet at that hour, quickly turned into a crime scene. Henderson police officers arrived within minutes, but there was nothing they could do to save Aiden. His car doors were unlocked, and there were no obvious signs of a struggle, leading investigators to initially suspect that the shooting could have been related to a drug deal gone wrong. Given Aiden's rumored involvement in selling marijuana, the police were quick to explore this angle as they launched their investigation. His death sent shockwaves through the small community. The Dollar Tree parking lot, usually a mundane spot in the heart of suburban Henderson, became the focal point of a murder investigation. Residents who regularly shopped at the Dollar Tree were left wondering what had transpired in their once safe neighborhood. When Henderson police arrived at the scene on the night of March 5, 2017, it initially appeared to be the aftermath of a drug deal gone wrong. Aiden Grenfell, already recognized at Coronado High School for his rumored involvement in marijuana sales, had been shot multiple times near his car. Lead Detective Samuel Ortiz, a veteran investigator with more than 15 years on the force, was assigned to the case. Having handled several high-profile homicide investigations in the Las Vegas area, Ortiz led a team of officers as they cordoned off the scene and began their work. At first glance, there was little evidence to indicate anything beyond a failed drug transaction. Aiden's unlocked car showed no signs of forced entry, and his body bore no defensive wounds, indicating that he hadn't struggled before being shot. Officers discovered his phone in his pocket, and nothing seemed to be missing. However, a small bag of marijuana found in the back seat of Aiden's car supported their initial theory. Detective Ortiz and his team considered the possibility that Aiden had been dealing drugs on the night of his death, and that the situation had turned violent. This theory seemed plausible, given Aiden's troubled history, but something didn't sit right. As investigators sifted through Aiden's phone records, security footage, and financial statements, their focus began to shift. There were no calls or messages indicating a drug deal on the night of his murder. Surveillance footage from a nearby 7-Eleven revealed no suspicious activity in the parking lot during the time Aiden was killed. Furthermore, the autopsy indicated that Aiden had been shot at close range, execution style, a detail that seemed too deliberate for a random drug-related incident. Detective Ortiz and his team began to explore other possibilities. They shifted their focus to Aiden's home life, particularly his relationship with his mother, Aiden Grenfell. Known for being secretive, Ellen had a reputation that raised eyebrows, and Aiden's friends noted that tensions had been escalating between them in the weeks leading up to his death. Ellen's odd behavior following Aiden's murder, coupled with inconsistencies in her alibi, raised red flags for the investigators. What initially appeared to be a straightforward drug-related crime began to take on a more personal motive. Aiden's 37-year-old mother, Aiden Grenfell, was the first person detectives chose to question. Ellen worked as a waitress at Mandalay Bay, but behind the scenes, she led a secret life as an escort, something Aiden was unaware of. He had a vague understanding that his mother occasionally brought men to their small Henderson home late at night, but he assumed it was just part of her promiscuous lifestyle. In truth, Ellen's work as an escort helped her make ends meet, and she kept this aspect of her life hidden from Aiden, fearing it would only strain their already tense relationship further. During her police interview, Ellen seemed calm, almost detached, despite her son's recent murder. She described her relationship with Aiden as challenging, noting that he had been rebellious for years, frequently staying up late and getting into trouble, including selling small amounts of marijuana to his classmates. When questioned about the night of Aiden's death, Ellen was vague, claiming she had been working an overnight shift at the casino and had no idea who might have wanted to hurt her son. However, as detectives pressed her for more details, Ellen revealed a shocking piece of information: Aiden had been having an affair with his high school English teacher, Aiden Andrews. Ellen disclosed that she had known about the affair for a while but had opted not to intervene. She found out about the relationship after discovering sexually explicit text messages on Aiden's phone and noticing how often he stayed late after school for what he claimed were tutoring sessions. Despite being aware of the illicit affair, Ellen chose not to confront either Aiden or Karen directly. Ellen justified her decision by believing that Aiden was old enough to make his own choices. In her view, Karen offered Aiden the stability that she herself could not provide. To Ellen, the affair was one less thing to worry about as she tried to keep her secret life from falling apart. However, her indifference toward the inappropriate relationship only heightened the investigators' suspicions. Detective Ortiz observed that Ellen's calm demeanor and her choice not to confront her son's affair were unusual for a mother. Coupled with her evasive responses regarding her own activities, Ellen soon emerged as one of the primary suspects in the case. Her hidden life and the escalating tensions between her and Aiden prompted investigators to wonder if she knew more than she was revealing, and whether the pressures of her double life had contributed to a tragic outcome. Aiden Andrews, a 42-year-old English teacher at Coronado High School, was regarded for her calm demeanor and professionalism in the classroom. To her colleagues and students, she appeared to be a dedicated educator. However, beneath that facade, Karen was concealing a shocking and scandalous secret. She had been involved in an affair with one of her students, Aiden Grenfell. The relationship began when Karen proposed that Aiden, who was having difficulty with his studies, attend her after-hours tutoring sessions. On the surface, it seemed like she was simply trying to help him boost his grades. This was not surprising, given that Aiden had been held back twice due to poor academic performance and disciplinary problems, so extra attention from a teacher seemed like it could provide the support he needed. However, Karen had different intentions. She was sexually attracted to Aiden and later told investigators that she had wanted him from the beginning, primarily because of his hot bod. Karen used her position of authority to draw Aiden into a personal relationship, something not uncommon sense according to the American Teachers Union. 54% of teachers admit they have been sexually attracted to at least one of their students. Soon, the line between teacher and student became blurred, with Karen exploiting Aiden's vulnerabilities, even inviting him to her bathtub to read Hemingway together. Aiden was a troubled teenager grappling with family issues and personal identity, making him an easy target for manipulation. While he may have appreciated the attention from his teacher, it was evident that Karen held the reins in the relationship. When questioned by the police, she initially attempted to portray their relationship as strictly professional, insisting that the tutoring sessions were her way of helping a struggling student. However, investigators had already collected enough evidence to show that their connection went far beyond academics. Text messages, suggestive photos, and witness accounts from other students and staff clearly illustrated Karen's inappropriate behavior. Under pressure, Karen confessed to the affair but minimized its importance. She depicted herself as emotionally vulnerable, claiming she was filling a void in her life with Aiden. Her admission highlighted how much she had blurred the lines between teacher and lover, revealing a lack of remorse for the harm she had inflicted. Karen's obsession with Aiden raised significant concerns for investigators. Her fixation on him, along with her readiness to breach ethical boundaries, led them to wonder if the affair could have turned into something more perilous. Was Karen involved in Aiden's death? Her emotional manipulation of him and her inability to grasp the seriousness of her actions left investigators with lingering doubts about her role in the tragic events that unfolded. As the investigation into Aiden Grenfell's murder progressed, police uncovered an unexpected and shocking twist that altered the course of the case. In March 2017, a routine background check revealed that Karen Andrews, Aiden's high school English teacher and secret lover, was married to none other than Aiden's estranged biological father, Donnie Andrews. This revelation marked a turning point, steering the investigation in an entirely new direction. Karen and Donnie had been married for over 20 years, creating what appeared to be a typical suburban life in Henderson, Nevada. They had their own children and were well regarded in their community. Donnie operated a successful bar in town and was recognized for his charisma and keen business sense. However, beneath the surface, the Andrews marriage was riddled with secrets and infidelity. Years earlier, shortly after marrying Karen, Donnie had fathered Aiden during an extramarital affair with Aidens Grenfell, Aidens' mother, who was secretly working as an escort. Ellen raised Aiden alone, lacking any financial or emotional support from Donnie. Unbeknownst to Karen, the young man she had been involved with was, in fact, her own stepson. She had no knowledge of Donnie's previous relationship with Ellen or that Aiden was the outcome of that affair. This revelation stunned investigators, who quickly understood the seriousness of the situation. Karen's secret affair with Aiden had not only breached ethical boundaries, but it also unraveled into a complicated web of family drama. The revelation prompted investigators to question whether Karen's feelings for Aiden changed after she learned the truth, or if she had been aware of their connection from the beginning. The timeline became critical as they sought to determine how the affair might have influenced Aiden's murder. This unexpected family link raised new suspicions about Karen, and it also drew Donnie Andrews into the investigation. This shocking twist compelled detectives to reassess everything they believed about the case. The murder was revealed to be more than just a tale of a troubled student or an inappropriate relationship. It was tied to a long, hidden family secret that had been unraveling for years. Following the startling revelation that Karen Andrews was married to Aiden's estranged father, Donnie Andrews emerged as a key suspect in the investigation. At 46, Donnie was a successful bar owner in Henderson, Nevada, recognized for his sharp business acumen and charismatic personality. Beneath Donnie's polished exterior lay a complicated and tumultuous personal life. Years earlier, while married to Karen, he had fathered Aiden during an extramarital affair with Aidens Grenfell. Donnie chose to remain distant from both Ellen and Aiden, never accepting responsibility or offering any support. Police brought Donnie in for questioning, seeking clarity on his connections to both Karen and Aiden. The interrogation, held in mid-March 2017, was tense, especially for lead detective Samuel Ortiz, who had been assembling the pieces of the case from the beginning. This interview had the potential to reveal critical information. Although Donnie initially appeared calm and willing to cooperate, investigators quickly noticed inconsistencies in his statements. He denied having any knowledge of Karen's affair with Aiden, insisting he was completely unaware of the situation. However, the investigators remained skeptical. Detectives probed Donnie about his awareness of Aiden's life, particularly his troubled history and the difficult relationship he had with Ellen. Donnie was evasive, providing vague responses and attempting to redirect the conversation away from his own involvement. When questioned about his relationship with Aiden, he acknowledged having limited contact with his son, but insisted he had no motive to harm him. The atmosphere became increasingly tense as detectives confronted him about Karen's affair. Donnie's attitude shifted, turning defensive and increasingly agitated. He claimed to have been unaware of the affair until after Aiden's death, but his timeline raised suspicions. Police believe Donnie may have discovered the relationship prior to the murder and had a motive for wanting Aiden removed from the equation. As the interrogation progressed, Donnie's increasing defensiveness triggered more alarms for the investigators. They began to suspect that he not only knew about the affair but was also deeply unsettled by it. The shocking realization that his wife was secretly involved with his estranged son could have driven him to a breaking point. The pieces were starting to fall into place for the investigators, but they still lacked concrete evidence to directly tie Donnie to the murder. Despite the suspicions surrounding him, Donnie Andrews left the interrogation room with more questions than answers lingering in the air. Detectives were certain he knew more than he was willing to reveal, and they weren't ready to let him off the hook just yet. The investigation intensified as they searched for the key evidence that could connect Donnie to the crime. As detectives continued to dig, the full truth behind Aiden Andrews' tragic death began to emerge. Donnie Andrews, overwhelmed by guilt and desperation, had taken the ultimate step to protect his crumbling life. When Karen, his wife, confessed her affair with Aiden, who was, unbeknownst to her, Donnie's estranged son, Donnie's world fell apart. The revelation that his wife had been romantically involved with his own child pushed Donnie over the edge. Fearing the affair would destroy his marriage, his reputation, and his business, Donnie saw no way out but to eliminate the source of his shame. In a desperate and impulsive act, Donnie confronted Aiden in the parking lot that night, shooting him execution style. The close-range gunshot and lack of struggle pointed to a familiar assailant, and Donnie fit the profile perfectly. As the detectives pieced together the evidence from inconsistencies in Donnie's statements to the timeline of events, the full horror of Donnie's actions became clear. He had killed his son to protect his secret, but in the end, the truth unraveled anyway, leaving nothing but devastation in its wake. Donnie couldn't cope with the idea that his wife had been involved with his estranged son. He feared that if the affair came to light, it would ruin his marriage, damage his reputation, and destroy his career. The thought of his carefully hidden past being exposed was overwhelming for him. On the night of March 5, 2017, Aiden Grenfell's body was found in the parking lot of the Dollar Tree on Horizon Bridge Parkway, where he worked part-time. It was shortly after 10 p.m., and the store had just closed for the night. Aiden had completed his shift and was on his way to his battered 2004 Honda Civic when the shooting took place. His body was located just a few feet from the driver's side door. It was a fellow employee, Brittany Saunders, who first discovered the horrific scene. She had been closing up the store and noticed Aiden's car still in the parking lot, which was unusual since he typically left quickly after his shift. When she approached to check on him, Brittany found Aiden lying on the pavement, bleeding from multiple gunshot wounds. She quickly called 911, but it was evident that Aiden was already dead. Although described as being in shock, Brittany managed to stay composed enough to provide details to the dispatcher. Donnie returned home, desperately trying to carry on as if nothing had happened, but the guilt weighed heavily on him. The breakthrough in the investigation came when detectives found surveillance footage from a nearby business, capturing Donnie's truck near the scene around the time of the murder. Coupled with the inconsistencies in his interrogation and mounting evidence, the picture of what really happened became clear to investigators. Detectives carefully reconstructed the events leading up to Aiden's death, and Donnie's lies began to fall apart. On March 28, 2017, they arrested Donnie Andrews at his home in Henderson. The arrest was calm and without incident, yet it marked the end of a heartbreaking and scandalous case that had left the community in disbelief. Donnie was taken into custody and charged with the murder of his son, Aiden, a crime driven by his desperate attempt to conceal his dark secrets. His trial began on February 5, 2018, in Clark County District Court, attracting significant public attention. The community was still grappling with the shocking murder of Aiden, and many followed the trial closely, eager for answers to the tragic events that had unfolded. Donnie, once a respected figure in the community, now faced the harsh consequences of his actions. In an effort to defend himself, he mortgaged his home, drawing on the equity he had built over the years. He enlisted a team of well-known attorneys, recognized for their successful track records in criminal defense cases. David Schwartz, the lead attorney, was a prominent figure in Las Vegas known for defending high-profile clients. He was accompanied by his associate Lisa Morales, who had earned a reputation for her keen legal insight and impressive courtroom presence. Together, they worked tirelessly to achieve the best possible outcome for Donnie. The prosecution, led by Assistant District Attorney Sarah Blake, presented a compelling case against Donnie, portraying him as a man who had taken his son's life out of fear and desperation. The courtroom was charged with emotion as witnesses recounted Aiden's aspirations and the profound sense of loss experienced by family and friends. Many in the community felt that Aiden's promising future had been tragically cut short by his father's violent actions. As the trial progressed, tensions escalated. Donnie's defense team contended that he had acted in a moment of panic and had not intended to kill Aiden. They argued that the shooting was accidental, claiming it resulted from a struggle between father and son. Many in the courtroom found it hard to accept this defense, believing that Donnie had deliberately chosen to take his son's life to protect his own secrets. After several weeks of testimonies and evidence, the jury deliberated for just over a day. On March 7, 2018, nearly a year after the murder, the verdict was revealed. Donnie Andrews was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. In an unexpected outcome, he received a sentence of just 7 years in prison, a surprisingly lenient punishment for a man who had ended his own son's life. Many in the courtroom, including Aiden's family and friends, were infuriated by the leniency of the sentence, convinced that Donnie's wealth and connections had swayed the outcome. The trial and its verdict left an indelible mark on the community, serving as a painful reminder of the tragic events that had unfolded just a year earlier. In the years that followed, the lives of everyone involved in Aiden Andrews' case took dramatic turns, forever changed by the fallout from that fateful night. Donnie Andrews served his 7-year sentence at the Southern Nevada Correctional Center, a facility that accommodated a range of offenders. During his time there, he participated in counseling and rehabilitation programs, with the hope that these experiences would prompt him to reflect on his actions and the devastating consequences they had on his family and the community. Upon his release in 2023, Donnie aimed to rebuild his life. He settled into a modest apartment in Las Vegas and eventually remarried. His new wife, Julia, had no connections to his past and provided him with the support he needed as he worked to create a fresh start. Together, they focused on starting a family and forging a new path, but echoes of Donnie's past often lingered around them. Meanwhile, Karen faced a starkly different reality after the scandal. Following the trial, she found herself homeless and unable to keep her house in Las Vegas. Karen struggled to regain stability and ultimately lost custody of her children because of her tumultuous lifestyle. Seeking a fresh start, she relocated to Long Beach, California, where she parked a small RV in a crowded lot. Though her days were marked by uncertainty, she found some comfort in the community of fellow residents, many of whom were also facing challenging situations. Karen took on odd jobs to make ends meet, but her aspirations for a better future felt increasingly out of reach. Meanwhile, Aiden Grenfell, Aiden's mother, attempted to rebuild her life following her son's murder and the trial that exposed her hidden truths. She relocated to a nearby town in hopes of escaping the painful memories of her past. Ellen continued her job as a waitress at Mandalay Bay, but grappled with feelings of guilt and regret. The double life she had lived weighed heavily on her conscience, and she frequently reflected on the choices that had contributed to such a tragic outcome. As time passed, Donnie, Karen, and Ellen each found themselves in vastly different circumstances, shaped by their past actions and the consequences that followed. While Donnie tried to embrace a more conventional life with his new family, Karen struggled with homelessness, and Ellen dealt with the aftermath of her son's death. Each had faced the repercussions of their actions, forever altered by the events of March 2017. Ultimately, this case stands as a chilling reminder of the tragic consequences that can stem from secrets, lies, and forbidden relationships. Aiden Grenfell's life was tragically cut short, a casualty of circumstances that spiraled far beyond his control.